Sair da escola já com uma formação profissional no currículo? Parece bom demais pra ser verdade, né? Pois é. No ensino técnico do Senac, isso é possível. É ensino médio junto com formação técnica, que acontece durante os 3 anos. Lá, eles usam metodologia para projetos, desenvolvendo competências como resolução de problemas, pensamento crítico e colaboração, além de valores éticos e sustentáveis. Quer saber? Senac. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino médio e saiba mais.
What's up? I'm Chris DiStefano, a.k.a. Chrissy D, a.k.a. King Gay. You're listening to the Bay Ridge Boys, History Hyenas. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the History Hyenas. I am Chris DiStefano, a.k.a. CMMPT, Chrissy Mashed Potato Tits, with my boy and fellow homosexual in waiting, Yannis Pappas, a.k.a. Freddie Feta Cheese.
Yes.
Cute.
Wow, that was an out of season song.
Cause the only time I'm happy is when it's Christmas time. Gotta be honest with you.
I'm a liberal cock bag.
Yeah, you're a liberal now.
Yeah.
We got Zach Ice's face.
Cuz, you know what it is when you don't gel your hair? You know what you look like?
What?
You look like an Italian kid who's been sitting in outdoor lawn furniture in the middle of a schoolyard all day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Reeboks and no socks on.
Yep.
With Catholic tattoos all over.
Yep.
And you go get a hero and a fucking Budweiser.
If you want to get a glimpse into what I would look like with not having my hair gelled and growing up in the suburbs, then Google a picture of our guest, KP Burke. Because that's exactly what Chrissy D would look like if he was from the fields of New Jersey. You're from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I'm taking this as a compliment, bro.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look like, Irish.
You guys look like cousins.
We're cousins, yeah.
Somewhere.
Like me and you. Yeah, I see each other. I see you every year at Aunt Eileen's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
KB's a good kid, KP Burke.
One of the two of you is going to die of cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah,
it's
for
me.
sure.
Without a doubt, it's me.
No, but KP Burke's fellow comic, great guy, was in the Navy. Today's episode is going to be about the USS Indianapolis, and let me tell you something. This story is fucking wild. And we got a fucking sailor, a seaman himself, KP Burke, on the show. I just worked with you, KP, at Bananas. By the way, thank you for the History Hyena fans and the Bay Ridge Boys fans who showed up at Bananas Comedy Club, which is in a conference room in the Holiday Inn off the side of Route 17 in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. So
Hot show.
Yeah, so you really made that, made me feel a lot better when, because sometimes you do shows at the Holiday Inn and, you can't help to say, should I walk into traffic? Should I do this show?
That club's been there for a long time.
Shout out to Bananas Comedy Club. If you want to see a great fucking comedy show in the New Jersey area, I personally think Bananas is one of the better options.
It is.
Because it's literally been there for 35 years. When you go into that comedy club and you look at the walls of the Holiday Inn, you think all you're going to see is, bullshit wallpaper and signs that say employees must wash your hands. But what you'll see is actual pictures of all the celebrity comedians who have performed there at one point in their career. Jimmy Fallon, Louis C.K., Colin Quinn. Everybody's performed there. Amy Schumer. Yeah. They've all performed there at Bananas. You have to go through Bananas if you do comedy in New York. You have to. The only route to stardom is through Bananas. So go check it out.
And it's impressive that they put up that wall every Friday and Saturday for the shows and then take it down.
Take it down because it's just a regular hotel conference room. So they have to put their shit up. And then, the people who were in there for the fucking Geico conference Monday morning don't know the absurdity that just happened the night before.
Look, if you want to feel like a real professional stand-up comedian, you have to perform in front of a banana made out of colored paper.
Yes. That's what it is.
That's when it really hits you. Like, you know what? I'm a pro.
I'm a pro comic.
Yeah.
And it was, the fans in New Jersey were great. Like I said, thank you so much for the fans of the podcast, fans of Bay Ridge Boys to come out. And thank you for the people who didn't know who I was, who, the room just got papered, for New Jersey Trump faces. And I appreciate you guys coming out too. I mean, there was one guy who kept asking me when it was going to end while it was on stage. And I was like, you're live from my set. And he said both.
Well, here's a good thing about bananas too. Like if you want a water with lemon in it,
Yeah.
or water that's been marinating with orange peels in it.
Right.
You could walk out into the lobby.
Yeah.
And get yourself a nice plastic cup of nice lobby hotel water.
That's
and walk
it.
right back into the showroom.
It's right there.
And that's fucking cute.
Yeah, that's cute because the Holiday Inn staff is just, it's just your standard, it's just your standard hotel off the side of the highway staff. It's illegal immigrants and Eastern European people that barely speak English. That's who staffs the Holiday Inn.
Who the fuck stays at that on Hasbrook Heights?
Guys like us. See, here's another thing. So we do that gig. In Hasbrook Heights. We're, Yannis and I both live in Bay Ridge, and it's only about a 40-minute drive for us. But, the comics who come from L.A., they have to stay at that Holiday Inn. The comedy club is great, and the hotel is clean, but you have to understand, you're off the side of a highway. So if you've ever been driving in any part of the country, and you say, who would ever stay in that hotel off the side of the highway? That's Chrissy D and Yanni P. That's where we stay when we do these comedy gigs for you. So when you guys show up at the gigs, it helps us out so much.
How hilarious was it that this weekend you were at Bananas and I was at Uncle Vinny's? We were doing Jersey bad this weekend.
Now Uncle
the only thing missing was Soul Joe.
A.K.A. the Kung Fu Panda. Uncle Vinny's is a comedy club in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, a little beach town, run by the great Dino, who knows what his last name is, Dino Mafia Face.
Who has the greatest photo in his office of him and his brother.
It's the best, isn't
it? With the gold chains out and their dogs. It looks like the back of a funeral card.
Yeah. It looks like, and again.
It looks like they both died in a car accident, and then the other side of that has a prayer to St. Mary on it.
And they got football faces on too, like they're staring through the camera, like they don't got the little dogs.
It looks like a photo that your mother would make you pose for a Christmas card when you're 5 years old. Yeah. But they're grown men that do it with the dogs. When I first saw it, because I love Dino. Uncle Vinny's is another great comedy club in New Jersey. Seriously, these Bananas Uncle Vinny's, go check them out. Yeah. When I first walked in, I hadn't met Dino yet, and I saw that picture on the wall, and I thought that must have been the owner's brothers who have special needs. That's what I thought.
Thought it was a little Frank and Beans.
Yeah, I love little Franks and Beans. And then Dino walked in, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Dino makes great penny alla vodka. Shout out to Dino.
Actually, you know what? First night I got there, they were like, you want anything to eat? And I said, you know what? Chris told me to get the penne alla vodka. They said, you want that with chicken? I came out piping hot.
Yep.
And it was fucking delish. So you were right. The penne vodka at Uncle Vinny's, delicious. And it's a cute little town. It's really cute. It's not brutes. It's cutes. For sure. Point Pleasant.
Cute. So KP Burke, thank you for being here. Now, KP, let's, some people know you.
We also work together at Valley Forge Casino.
And we also did work with KP at Valley Forge Casino, So, dude, you've been doing comedy how long now?
6 years in.
6 years, and you served the United States Navy.
Yeah, I did 6 years in the Navy.
You fucking salute, cuz.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Clean toilets all 6 years, guys. I really feel terrible when people thank me.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. It had to be you.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, and
Chrissy would have done it with his mouth because he loves men.
Yeah, and that's why we really had you on the show. You thought we were going to talk about the USS Indianapolis, but it's not. We just want to know if you ever sucked some dicks below deck.
It's on or off the clock. That's the real thing, man.
Yeah. You guys ever smuggle beers onto the boat?
What would happen?
All the time. Really?
All the time.
Interesting.
Now, if you, as a seaman, sometimes you get in international waters and you might get caught by the enemy. Do they teach you to whatever secrets you have on you stuff them up your butt or no? That's the best place to hide secrets, no?
I really couldn't be trusted with any of that shit, man.
Right.
Like, I give shit away like on accident. Like I'll just mention it. You know what I mean? So you really can't trust. I was in engineering department too, so we're below deck.
Okay.
So it's like literally I was responsible for like making sure the urinals like flushed down because it's all like vacuum powered on there.
But if shit hit the fan and you were ever attacked, you had a piece on you.
Yes, that part's true.
Yeah. You walked around with a piece.
Yeah.
No, it was weird because we had the general workshops. Like I was telling you, man, like I just like in the Navy, people don't realize it's like a job. So like I walked around with a wrench all day and everybody just thought I was busy and nobody ever gave me anything to do.
Was there any puss on the boat?
No, it's the Navy, dude.
But there's girls in the Navy.
Dude, they changed it as soon as I
Wait
got
a
on
second,
board.
there's girls in the Navy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. A lot's changed. Yeah, a lot's changed since fucking
since I came out of my coma.
Yeah, after 9/11 they let women into the Navy.
I didn't know that was legal.
Yeah, it's legal. Yeah.
ISIS, what do you think about that? What you would
Completely against.
You're against that, right?
Yeah.
They ain't gonna do shit when I get on that boat.
That's right.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yo,
It is scary to have like an 80-pound woman like being behind you on like the at-sea fire party. Like you're going into an engine room that's on fire. And like, yeah, this 80-pound chick can get me out of here. That's great.
What's an at-sea fire party?
Oh, that's like there's no fight. Like it's the boat's fire department pretty much. So it's
Okay.
like if something goes down, like we have to respond. So that was like my department. That was like what we did.
What's the craziest thing that went down while you were at sea? Anything fucking wild happen?
Honestly, not too much crazy shit happened on board over there. Like I did like a break in service too. So I was on the USS Carney, which is a guided missile destroyer.
Yeah,
right?
and that's good for you because you're an Irish kid, and Carney's an Irish
Yeah,
last name.
it is.
That's why they put you on there. When they saw you coming in like a fucking walking potato. They said this kid's
Exactly.
going to the Carney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, so you were? That means you're smart if you were in the engineering department,
Yeah,
right?
he's a smart. Look at the size of his head.
That's,
He's got a big brain.
You do too.
Yeah.
You both are smart kids.
Smart kids.
God
Yeah.
damn.
So
Yeah.
that means you're smart because you're in the engineering department.
Yeah, it was like, but it was weird because like you know, like you have people in like the trades or whatever. Like there's a guy on a union job site
Yeah.
that sounds like a fucking moron when he talks. But
Yeah.
he's a genius and he can figure out how
Yeah.
to like do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but you are a smart kid, and I knew you were an engineer because you wore a button-down shirt that looks like graphing paper. Yeah, you want to fucking do
it's
Venn
on camera,
diagrams on your
isn't
tits. Yeah, no, you want to do a fucking line graph.
Because you got a fucking penguin on your shirt.
Yeah.
Frank
Frank Beans, and you got fucking Mickey Mouse on yours.
Yeah!
Yeah, we're a couple of gay kids. So did anybody ever like go overboard, or was there anybody die on the boat or anything like that?
we had to. Our ship had to respond to another ship having a guy go overboard. So they give you
Wow.
like these infrared goggles, and like we were just like standing out there looking for like something like thermal goggles. So you're like
Okay.
looking for like a body floating in the water. Yeah.
Because let me ask you this. If you went overboard, would you get sucked into the propellers and cut in half? Is that true? Because that's what I think happens if you fall off a
No,
boat.
I mean it's not everything in the Navy happens just like the movie Titanic. Cuz
but we don't know. Have you ever? I've never spoken to a sailor.
I mean, if you fall off the boat, I mean, you'd have to be like directly in front of it or behind it, right, for the propellers
Yeah,
to
they
get you.
put a guy on watch in the back too, because like on the destroyers they got the helicopter pad in the
Okay.
back over there. So that's like the flight deck area. So there's a guy whose his whole job is like he has headphones on.
Okay.
And he just sits there making sure nobody like floats past the boat or whatever.
Interesting.
So that's his
but if
whole
you
job.
fell off that boat, it's high enough where could you make it off? Like, would you die on impact or no?
Oh no, especially like on a destroyer because they're smaller. Like I think you die from a fucking aircraft carrier for sure.
Like you would die just
It's
to
a couple-
fall off that
It's a
boat.
couple stories up, right?
Yeah, it's like a floating city, man. So
Yeah.
it's like a splat kind of a thing they do, but it's like because people who go overboard on some of the other ships, people don't realize this, man. Like when you go into the water, like and they come back to save you, and it's a successful rescue, you're still in the water for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Really, even
Yeah,
on a
so
successful.
you're sitting there float like they can see you. It just takes forever to get the ship to kind of change course, and then they got to drop like they call it a rib boat, so it's like a little motorboat that's attached to the side of them, and they come out and get you or whatever. But it's like probably like a 90-minute process at best.
For you,
I'm definitely peeing and shitting in the water in 90 minutes.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
so for you, like in training, did you have to like simulate that, jump in the water, and they would save you?
It kind of upsets me how many people join the Navy and don't know how to swim. Like that kind
Really?
of through like that'd be the one that would. You'd think that'd be like a check in the box kind
Yeah,
of
you think it'd just be the blacks? Yeah.
I didn't say that. There's a lot of Filipino people in the Navy too.
They
No, I'm
can't swim
kidding.
either.
I'm
yeah.
joking.
No, I mean, come on.
It's a fucking joke.
How many blacks have I known?
Yeah.
For some reason, a lot of them they don't swim.
I can't swim either.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
I can't.
I don't know what
just
it is.
kidding.
They'd go for lessons. Like they'd get because if you didn't pass the initial test, like they'd hold you back until you could pass like the bare minimum test on stuff. So
Right.
there'd be like some jack dudes, like in shape dudes, who'd probably be like just killer dudes in the army that
Right.
couldn't swim, so they were like getting held back in boot camp for longer.
What made you pick the Navy? Did you just want to be on the ocean? What'd you want to do? Did you want to look for mermaids?
Yeah, you got to be near water with the Navy, man. So
Yeah.
that part's always you get like, I could live in Florida or Wichita, Kansas. What are you going to pick?
So, yes, you picked Florida. And you got where? Is that where you were stationed in Florida?
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida, all 6 years.
Wow, you know it's
I
fun
might
fact.
have, if it was Jacksonville, I might have picked Kansas. Be honest
Yeah,
with you. I mean,
Jacksonville's a shit city.
that's a lose-lose right there.
Geographically,
Town, man.
geographically, it's the biggest city in the United States. Geographically,
Yeah.
Not it doesn't have the most people, but mileage-wise,
My buddy always says it's just 5 small towns holding hands to have a football team.
That's what
So
it
I
is.
think that's what it is.
That sounds
it's all about the
accurate.
Jaguars, right down there.
Who dat, man? Right?
Yeah.
It's about the Jaguars trying to rape crocodile. Florida's a weird place.
Yeah.
One of the last articles I read about Florida was some guy who was giving the crocodiles some sort of drug that would put them down unconscious, and then he was raping the crocodiles.
Interesting.
I mean, Florida is fucking crazy.
Let me ask you, when you would go get nuts for Fleet Week, you got any nice stories there? Were you just dressed up, in the white suit and?
Well, 'cause we were talking about it at Bananas, man. Friggin',
Yeah.
like, when you're in uniform in New York City, you can't buy a drink. You can't, nobody
Right.
lets you spend a penny.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I had this weird thing where I showed up on September 9th.
And my
last
girlfriend
day.
would salute you, and
Yeah.
it would emasculate me.
Yeah.
Every time fucking Fleet Week, my girlfriend rolls down the window. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You're welcome, little girl."
Yeah.
Fucking tzatziki tits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then you just talk about
Exactly.
what they would do to. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, thank you for your
It
service.
is.
Yeah,
People
thank
want
you.
to take pictures with you and shit, man. It's fucking crazy. But
You ever get a toot on the boat? A prostitute?
you'd be surprised, man. Dude, you know what was weird? Is that, like, when you go to different parts of the world or whatever, like, if you go to Europe, like, the black and Spanish guys would clean up over there because, like, they'd never seen, like, it was exotic to them.
Right.
But then the inverse of that is there's this island called Seychelles out in the Caribbean or something.
Yeah.
Every chick looks like Rihanna, and they're, like, obsessed with blonde hair, blue-eyed dudes.
So you cleaned up out there.
I never got to go, man. That's my one major regret.
Wow.
Really?
But it was like fucking nerds on board the ship. We're going home with like prom queens. Over there.
Did anybody on the boat, maybe it wasn't you, but did sailors hook up with each other? Did anybody know anything? Like when you're just out to sea, you're just like, fuck it?
We had gay dudes on the boat, and everybody just kind of knew it, and you just kind of just like, okay, whatever, man.
You think they were pounding each other's asses out?
Oh, without a doubt, it was like,
100%.
It was so obvious. Like one of them is, I'm still friends with both the dudes, man. But like the one guy is like, he would like be doing cheers on like the mess decks and stuff like that. So
Right.
he teaches gymnastics now. Like we all
Yeah.
knew, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
There's no
So for him, that was great. I mean, he's just,
Out at sea with a lot
most
of men.
in shape dude too, man. He was
Ripped
like
up, yeah.
Yep.
What's the seasickness like? You just get used to it because I know seasickness is a real thing. It's like seasickness is one of those things like you don't consider in the military. You're on a fucking boat.
You get seasick?
You're
from Greece.
But you ever been on like a boat that's rocking a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get seasick.
I never
think
got
it's the
seasick.
smaller the boat.
Smaller
fucks
boat,
with you,
yeah. Yeah, but I guess
like-
the big ones feel like a city just moving, right?
Yeah, it's like I used to be on they had an elliptical and a treadmill on the front of the ship, and like if you were going over the waves, that's like all of a sudden you're just running downhill on the elliptical. That's all it felt like. So it was like really relaxed motion.
Yeah.
But if I go on a small boat, like my last unit was a 34-foot patrol boat, and we were doing like guided armed escorts for ships in and out in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And while we were over there, like you have to qualify in a 50 caliber machine gun from the boat, so the boat's rocking while you're trying to like aim with the waves. I just started vomiting out of my
Yeah.
Kevlar, man. It was insane. That's
See,
the
yeah.
worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't think about, man. It's like,
Right.
it's one of those like aspects of how the military makes you tough that you don't
Right.
think about. It's like sickness, all those things we always talk about in wars and stuff. People
Right.
get sick, germs. It's like seasickness is a big. Think about back in the day,
Right.
Like before they had aircraft carriers and shit, when all the boats were like that.
Right.
Imagine being on a fucking Viking boat, one of those. What are the long boats? The
Yeah,
Viking long.
fucking nuts.
People, they were probably just throwing up the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, and there was fucking infested rats on there and
I
dead
mean,
bodies.
It was brutes magoots.
Brutes my goats.
You gotta
Cause
bring the food the entire time for the journey too. You have to make sure you had enough food.
Yeah.
So overall, we play this little game called Cutes or Brutes. Overall, would you say your experience in the Navy, was it cutes or was it brutes?
Cutes, bro. Cutes.
Cutes?
Without a
100%
doubt.
cutes?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, that's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear because you know whose experience was definitely brutes? The USS Indianapolis.
Wow.
That crew, July 30th, 1945, is what we're going to be talking about today. The USS Indianapolis was sunk by a fucking Jap torpedo in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the night, and the U.S. Navy did not get notified of the
Didn't
boat.
know about it for 4 fucking days.
4 fucking days, cuzzy wuzzies. So,
What you're about to hear is one of the wildest stories in American history.
first of all, I think you were telling me this, KP Burke. We haven't had a ship lost. The U.S. Navy hasn't lost a ship since when? Since like the 60s, right?
I want to say it's because that's the biggest American naval catastrophe we've ever had was the Indianapolis.
Was the Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and it's the biggest loss of life due to sharks that we've ever had.
Yeah,
That's the
that
biggest
part's
shark
even
attack,
crazier.
biggest human shark attack in history of the world is USS Indianapolis. So what happened was it got hit, and it must have gotten hit. You're in fucking Navy. Where'd it get hit? Right in the deck of the boat?
Can I just say something right now?
Yeah.
That nobody mentions in all the research I did?
Yeah.
Those sharks
Yeah.
were definitely fucking Japanese sharks. Because they were attacking our boys.
Yes.
Nobody ever mentions that.
100%.
Those were fucking fascist sharks.
Absolutely.
And they were Japs bad.
They were, yeah, exactly. They were fucked up. And you know what? I did hear.
They were American sharks in fucking off California. They're not attacking
They're not
our
going to
boys.
attack. No, they would salute with their fin, and that's it.
Yeah.
They keep swimming
Those are
out.
Fucking kamikaze sharks.
That's it. They keep swimming out looking to eat Trudeau's. Yeah. So this is the great, like you said, it's the greatest loss of life at sea that we've ever had in U.S. military history.
Wow, Chrissy Cackle's got notes.
Yeah.
You got into this one.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a sailor, cuz.
You did, right?
Yeah.
Was that party? That would be big in Ridgewood? That's big.
Well, what happened was when 9/11 when the towers went down,
Yeah.
everybody in Ridgewood we wanted to sign up. We were like, I'm fucking signing up. Everybody was like, I'm fucking signing up.
Because you were about to try Middle Eastern food, but then 9/11 happened. You said
I'll never do it again.
Have you ever eaten Middle Eastern food?
I've never eaten Middle Eastern food, and I still won't eat sushi because I fucking they're the enemy.
It's not
That's
even
what
a
they
joke.
did to-
We're not even joking.
Yeah.
He won't. He only eats Italian food and in diners.
Yeah,
That's it.
All I eat is pizza, is diners. That's it.
it.
Once in a while, I have Chinese food.
Yeah.
But if you told me it's Chinese food, I start to slow down. I can't eat it.
Yeah, you don't eat any foreign food.
No. Once in a while, I have hummus. I was eating a lot of. I used to eat feta cheese a lot, but then Yannis told me it's from goats. Can't do it either.
Yeah, but you liked it when you didn't know.
Yeah. So there was 1,195 crew on board this puppy because the reason why. So first of all, this ship was a fast motherfucker. It could go 50 miles an hour. I don't know how many knots that is. It's a few fucking knots.
Well, they were steam propulsed too, which is
Okay.
you actually you're catching steam and that's what's powering the ship.
Okay.
So when shit got fucked up with that, imagine getting you ever take the lid off of a pot while you're cooking or something like that, and you just get the steam burn on your wrist or something. It's like that, but it kills you instantly.
Instantly.
When shit goes wrong with that.
Wow.
So it was traveling in the middle of the night, and it kind of nobody was really allowed to know where this boat was because it had to kind of remain mysterious because it was carrying parts of the nuclear bomb Little Boy that we eventually dropped out of the Enola Gay.
Well, didn't they? It was returning from delivering it, I think, right?
They delivered the parts, right?
They
KP,
delivered
did
it.
they?
They had I think it was 70% of the world's uranium or
On
whatever.
board, but they
it was
must have
insane.
dropped. Well, no, they didn't drop it off yet.
I think they did.
No, because
They
they
were on
picked
their
it
way
up in
back.
San Fran.
They were on their way back.
Yeah.
No, they
No,
did.
so they dropped it off in they left San Fran.
Yeah.
Then because I think they dropped it off in Guam. You know why? Because here's one part through my research what I realized, and this is just fucking luck of the draw. About out of the 1,195 men that were on it, because it was always staffed with somewhere between 1,600 and 2,000 men. At Guam, when they dropped the pieces off, it was a change of duty. So all these guys on the crew were only on the boat for two or 3 days when this happened. They had just gotten back to their, they were either new recruits that have just gotten on board because of the people who had been already, whatever the tour of duty was in World War II. I don't know what do you think it was, 18
They
months?
probably rotated a lot too.
They rotated a lot.
Wartime is crazy.
Yeah. So this was a fresh group of guys. So it's not like these were even battle hardened guys for the most part.
Did you know that they got bombed a month before? Did you see that when you were that's insane, man. You just got done being bombed and then you go out and have the worst day of your life.
Fucking bombed again.
What was it, Guam, or were they returning to Guam? ISIS. Can we get a quick one? I thought they were.
Because I know they were in the Philippine Sea.
Yeah.
So I thought
they were out in the Pacific. Bad.
Well, yeah, they were in the and they were in the middle. They were geographically, if you just Google USS Indianapolis route, you could see where they left from and where they were going, and they were geographically right in the fucking middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
There was, I think, all around them, it was 400 or 500 miles to any land in every direction.
One of the survivors recounted it as he saw the boat. The boat went down in 15 minutes, so it went
Which is
down
nuts,
fast.
right? KP, is that nuts?
12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah, they're super fat. They got I was going to send you the video, man. There's a thing they do called sink exercises where when a boat's old, we blow it up out in the, so it's a way to test our missiles. And then it turns into some barrier reef thing or whatever.
Right.
But when you watch these things go down, they fill as soon as they start to fill, it takes I forget what the miles per hour is while they're going down, but it's like a whirlwind of a thing. Because when you have the air flooded compartments, shit just gets sunk fast.
Right.
You'd think it would be stoic, like a wood ship going down, but this shit's just it's almost like a pop sound and it's over.
Yeah, 12 minutes went down.
But the thing is, it's interesting because 300 out of those 1,195 died, instantly on the boat where it was hit. They blew up, like you're saying, the steam, fucking gas, the whole shit was on fire. 900
It got hit, but there was 6 torpedoes that the Jap guy The
Yeah.
Jap sub hit. Two of them hit. One hit the front, and then one hit right in that middle.
Yeah.
Where all that fucking fuel and shit was.
Yeah, and they actually interviewed the Japanese guy who was in charge, Mashasura Hashimoto. That was his name, Machasura Hashimoto. And he said that when they launched that torpedo,
Do it with a Japanese voice. Come on.
when we are launching the torpedo, we said Benihana. No, when we launched the torpedo, we said that this is going to be a great loss of American life, and to be honest, we don't feel good about it. That's what he said.
You started real good Japanese and it
Yeah.
ended Eastern European.
Okay, let me try it again.
Kaya!
Mashiro Hashimoto.
Oh, that's real Jap. Yeah.
Yes. So when we shot the torpedo, we said that he was directed, and we watched the ship split in two, and we said, "Oh, a lot of Americans gonna die now." And they said, from what this guy said, there was a part. It was so because they're kind of watched it. They were underwater, nobody knew where they were, so they could see with their scope, and they were watching. He said there were actually some of the Japanese soldiers on the submarine. One of them asked Hashimoto, should we rescue them? Because even though it was wartime, they saw how brutal it was going to be. And they knew, these Japanese, because they were in that submarine, they knew that it was infested with sharks. So he said it wasn't, because he actually had to testify. We'll get to the parts of that a little bit later in the show. But he later testifies, because once the war's over, they want to know what's going on, because like what we'll tell you, the captain of the ship gets into a little bit of trouble from some bullshit because they needed to pin this disaster on somebody. And he said that it wasn't like a hurrah, ray, when they were going back to their base. They were like, we just killed thousands of men with one shot.
Leaving them to die, too.
Leaving them to die. So he said it was a little somber, which is interesting because you don't hear that with the enemy. And then it's like, I kind of like listened to him say that one, like, wow. But then I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't know that you shouldn't be somber because we just delivered the parts that are going to fucking light your country on fire.
Yeah.
And still to this day, there's Japanese people born with, eight fingers because, we fucking, dropped a lot of radiation on them.
Yeah.
But this is war. It's battle. It's wartime.
Yeah. People don't tickle each other during war. No. They do bomb each other bad.
So what happened
And
is
Japanese sharks do attack American boys.
unfortunately Japs, they do attack. They do. That's what.
Do you think a few of those weren't even sharks? It was just Japanese with flippers on biting
It
dudes?
could have been that, but my question is do Japanese sharks use chopsticks? That's my question. What do they do?
Yeah, we're a sensitive podcast.
Yeah.
This podcast right now sounds like it's being made in 1994.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause somebody's listening going, these guys are very offensive.
Very offensive.
You're not
Just-
supposed to do voices.
We're kidding.
What was
mostly
MacArthur's quote?
Tiger sharks. What?
Did you ever hear that? I think it was MacArthur's quote when they talk about how
Japs use
politically...
chopsticks?
No, it
What
was, it was so close. Like, it's actually worse than that. That's how it's like. MacArthur was like the general in the Pacific or whatever. And I think they asked him like, okay, well, what are you going to get done? Like, what's your kind of plan of action? He goes, kill Japs, then kill some more Japs.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus Christ.
We're going to watch a video of one of the survivors later in the show, and that was one of my favorite parts of his interview is he just calls them Japs like 4 times.
Yeah, but he's like the nicest, most humble man. He's
Yeah.
crying, but he just continuously calls them
Japs.
Japs. Well, my
Just short for Japanese.
my grandfather fought in World War II as Coast Guard, and he actually was on a boat that was hit. So he got sent. I think he something happened to his leg, and so he got sent back. And when he died in 2000.
Something that was like diabetes or no?
Huh?
Diabetes?
What he had a stroke, yeah,
Oh.
but he was like 78 years old, so he went the distance.
Yeah.
And he still up until the time he died would not eat Japanese food. He just would not eat sushi.
That's
and
where he got it from.
And he said, and he would always say, he would always talk about, you don't hate people. He said, but what I, because he fought his theater of war was the Pacific. He was like, it's just they'll always be the enemy to me because of the fucking shit that I saw.
My mother had the same thing. My mother was a human rights lawyer, and like I probably said before, she headed up UNITAR at the United Nations International Rights of Children. But because she was there during World War II, she always just had something against Germans,
Right.
And, of course, all Greeks, a little bit Turks, too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you found out you're about 20% Turk.
25%. I'm
Yeah.
glad my mother lost her memory before that really sunk
Does it
in.
make you want to just like shit? Like if I told you,
I love it because it means I'm diverse.
Yeah, but if I told you you're 25% Turk, but if you gave up one of your legs, which would be 25% of your body, you could get the Turk out. Would you do it? Yeah, you do it, right?
Have to do it, yeah. I would rather walk around with one leg, be 100% Greek, than
Absolutely.
be 75% Greek, 25% Turk with two legs.
Yeah,
that was a tough question.
Absolutely. Yo, KP, you're a fucking Irish kid. How many? How much?
For real, you look like you were in
fucking-
the movie Brothers McMullen.
Yeah, I can't fight it.
Like
ever.
you're a guy. Like if you exploded, you'd explode into cabbage.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
I feel like if we went to war with you, I think we could beat you at the beach. We'd just take you to the beach and
That's
we
it.
win. Yeah,
You're done,
You'd be like,
yeah.
I can't do it. Fucking
Yeah.
no umbrella. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. Yeah, because so let me
Get sunburned bad.
Well, because the Indianapolis. So so what happens is you have 300 men dying. Now you have 900 guys in the water, 900 ducks in the pond. That's what they would say.
800.
No, 900.
I think it was 800.
900. What is it, Zach? 800 or 900? Let's say 850.
110 degrees, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking that day was 110.
110 degrees
Wow.
in the in the day, but at night it would go down. The water would go down to something like hypothermic conditions. I don't know how cold it would get, but it was enough to induce hypothermia. So you have 900 guys.
900.
Yeah, you're right. You're a smart kid.
So I told you I feel good today.
Yeah.
It's raining out today in New York City, and I'm the kind of kid I fucking love the rain. I love the clouds, and let me tell you, I travel so much, but I love New York City. When I woke up today and I got out of bed and both of my feet were planted in Brooklyn, and it was raining outside, I said today's going to be a fucking good day, and I'm going to make no mistakes. And so far, it's been tried and true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what happened? It was so hot during the day, probably during those 4 days that those guys were floating in the water, our boys.
Yeah.
That during the day when the heat was out.
Yeah.
You know who probably dropped?
Who?
Irish kids.
Yeah.
Northern
He
European.
would have had a tough time. He would have had a tough time
Dude,
if you
can
were
imagine
floating in
being
the water.
sunburnt? Like you're sunburnt on your entire face is sunburnt, and then the rest of you is just like a giant, like you get the wrinkles in your skin.
Well, yeah. Well, that actually. So the ways that guys were going down, because out of the 900, only 316 are going to make it in 4 days. So you're going to lose. Only 316 are going to survive this thing. But 900 were alive when it went down. In the middle of the night on July 30th, but they're not going to get rescued to the 2nd of August. And in that time, close to 600 men are going to die from these main things, from exposure, like you said, exposure to the sun, dehydration. Because the thing is, the interesting thing about that's why when situations like this, and when you have to think about the elements, that's why you have to believe we're in some kind of simulators game. Because how can the one thing that sustains life, water, and the one thing that surrounds our planet, water, be the type of water that if we drink causes us to die? It's a fucking game. It's a fucking game, because guess what? If the rules were fair, if it wasn't a game and this was just what it's supposed to be and everything else is games, then the water that we live in, the water that we live around, I meant to say, and that we float in and swim in and the oceans, we'd be able to drink it. But you can't drink salt water. No. It kills our bodies.
It also makes you hallucinate.
Yeah, it makes you hallucinate, and it speeds up the death process.
Yeah.
So what started to happen was guys are dehydrated, not drinking for 2 or 3 days, and they would start drinking the salt water, especially the young, inexperienced kids, and they would speed up their death process instantly because it just makes you that much more dehydrated. And then you would get, and that would cause the saturation poisoning. So you would get your body just starts to get poisoned out. And then the biggest thing, of course, was the shark attacks. The shark attacks were fucking brutes magoots. You did have people starting to die relatively quickly, because some people, first of all, when the boat got blown up, everybody, like you were saying, was covered in oil. They all got covered in that fucking oil that was in their eyes, was burning their bodies, all that steam. So 900 were in the water, but there was a good portion of them that were going to die anyway because they got blown into the water with no limbs and they're dripping blood. So the sharks start to smell that. Do you know how far sharks can smell blood? You're a fucking nature cuck. Do you have any idea?
Probably very far.
Right.
Yeah. Can we find that out, Zachy? That's a good one. I'd like to know that fact.
Yeah, because wait, and I want to because there was one thing
you got to set the scene here. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you're talking about it starts out, the ship goes down for 12 minutes, and then you just got 900 kids just in the water, just completely alone. One of the survivors was quoted as saying he remembered seeing the front of the ship going down. He knew the whole thing was going down, and they were gonna, people were yelling "abandoned ship," which I guess that's in the Navy. That's what you say, abandoned ship. Get the fuck off this thing. You're fucked.
Over.
Once you're abandoned ship, you're fucked.
You're fucked.
And if you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, in the middle of World War II, he said he looked out into eternity. So it's like all you see is ocean around you. You're like,
that's it.
Imagine getting off the thing that has a floor to just be in the thing that's endless fucking just infinity. I mean, that's scary. And they had these life jackets that were not built or equipped to last that long. So those things, you had to swim.
You had to
for days.
And I don't know,
it became like a huge test of will.
I've never been in the middle of the ocean, but when you're in the middle of the ocean at night, you can't see anything, right? Is it like pitch black? Does the moonlight light up the water?
It's you can see some pretty cool stars and shit out there, man.
Right.
But, like when you go out, like the guys that will all go like on the smoke deck or whatever, it's like pitch black out there.
That's what I'm saying. So these guys who were floating in the water, when it would come nightfall, it's zero visibility.
Yeah, it's terrifying, dude.
Now you know what the funny thing is about Chrissy D, about Chrissy Cackles right here.
Yeah.
If he was out there in the middle, now you die obviously
in the sun.
At 1 p.m. You're fried.
You're done.
Right?
You fry
ISIS
out.
is still going because he's used to the heat.
Right.
He may die at the night when it gets cold.
Right.
All the Arab kids and all the darker kids. They die at night.
Well, ISIS would die because there was no way he could get on his knees and pray. He'd fucking drown.
Yeah, he'd die. Yeah.
So that's the problem because he can't pray to the west.
Yeah.
That's it.
But in the life vest, your dead body's just gonna float next to you too. Like you're just like making, you don't have like that nice Rose and Jack moment at Titanic. It's just fucking sitting there brining like a pork chop.
By the way, if a Rose and Jack, if we find a raft, it's 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. That's how I'm doing. Me and Brittany there, I'm going, you're on for 15, I'm going, and then we just see what happens.
Yeah.
But listen, this is how Chrissy's going, right?
Okay.
This is how fucking Chrissy's going. Because Chrissy's a tough fucking kid. You can look at that head. There's a lot of Neanderthal DNA in that fucking huge noggin.
Yeah, and in a situation like that, I don't want to be in it, but I think with my head, and I have a pseudo tit, I got a fat left tit, which kind of acts like a natural floaty device. So I kind of was born with a swimmer.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of a swimming in my tit.
But here's how the universe is balanced, and this is how the simulators are hilarious. This is how Chrissy would die. People would be dying around. His constitution, his strong constitution, would keep him alive.
Yeah.
But you know what would take him down? Nighttime hit. He's scared of the dark. He'd start screaming about ghosts, and he'd go into shock because he would think there would be ghosts. There'd be sharks eating people next to him, and it wouldn't bother him one bit. But he'd be like, there may be ghosts out here.
Yeah.
And then he'd die from the shock of being scared of ghosts. That's why you need to be walked to Poughkeepsie and fucking put down.
Yeah.
Because you're more scared of ghosts than you are reality.
Absolutely.
You're a weird, strange gay kid.
I can't go out at night and do anything at night, not because I'm scared of anybody beating me up, because I'm 240. It's because of ghosts.
Yeah. Now,
I don't want to get eaten alive by a spirit.
We do a lot of jokes on here, but I'm going to tell you the true story. This has actually just happened when we were driving here. All right, I was like, I love Bay Ridge. I was telling him why I love Bay Ridge. I was like, I love just the quiet of it, that I was able to walk my dog last night down to the park at around midnight. And this is exactly word for word what he said. We're not on air, so he's not trying to make anyone laugh. And I'm not exaggerating. He goes, wow, you went down to the park at 12? So I assume, he's thinking like, wow, it's dangerous. There could be some bad kids down there. I'm like, I'm not a small kid and I got a dog with me, so I'm not scared. He goes, no, I'm not talking about that. He's like, you weren't scared of the ghosts, maybe the spirits that are down there? And I looked at him. He wasn't smiling. He was dead serious.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of the car and be like, I don't think I want to be friends with you anymore because you're a fucking strange kid.
I'm a strange fucking kid.
I'm not lying. This is exactly what happened on the way here.
Well,
just if you think this is an act, if you're listening thinking it's not a fucking act,
he
needs to be put down.
Yeah,
you're not good for society, cuz.
Why? I thought I kept order.
Yeah, you make it a better place. You're a good kid.
I'm a good kid.
Yeah.
Because like you said, reality is just a suggestion for me.
For you, it's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion.
He doesn't. Yeah. The other day he goes, "We're two Italian kids." He called me Italian, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm an Italian kid. Who cares?
And then the other day I was like, we're a couple of black kids walking down the block. That's what it is. And and it's just nothing different. Sometimes I want to say, you know what? I'm a fucking Chinese woman today. Yeah. It is what it is.
It's funner that way.
Yeah, I don't got to be a fucking white kid from Brooklyn. Okay, so.
Sharks, by the way, it's 400 to 500 yards. They can detect.
Wow.
So at one point, one of the sailors said that he counted over 160 sharks encircling the men. So there was no way to get out. He said it was like being surrounded by another enemy. He said so there was no way to swim away from them because anywhere you went, it was a continuous circle, and one by one, you would see fins start coming towards the group. And what they were trying to tell them was to start to just kick wildly, and if you hit one in the nose, it'll swim away. And if you hit a shark direct in the nose, it usually swims miles away. Like it just doesn't want to go near that. So some guys were lucky in the sense that they would kick it square in the nose, and they would get one out. But because they would sense it, and there were so many sharks in the water, once one shark would come back and eat, a human body, all the other sharks would kind of smell what was going on, and sharks were coming by the dozens every few minutes. There were more and more sharks coming.
Here's a brutal fact about that too: is that the sharks don't even eat the humans.
Right.
Their meat is our meat is repulsive to them. They just get curious. They smell the blood and they bite it, and then they break. So you're just getting bit up. They don't really eat us, do they?
Really?
Yeah, they just rip a limb off and that's done. Yeah. Oh, and the thing that I was
Can you look that up just to make sure, Isis?
The word that I was trying to use, trying to find before about hypothermia, shark attacks, exposure, it was desquamination.
Yeah.
Desquamination is when you're in the water and like when you're in a pool and your skin prunes up. That's a little bit of desquamination, but it's not really. It's just like a beginning process of it. It's fine. It's never going to hurt you. But when you're in salt water, not only is your water pruning up, the salt is wearing away the top layer of your skin.
Oh my God.
So what started to happen when 4 days in the water like that, they started to suffer, or actually 3 days, because they still had a day to get rescued, they started to get the desquamination process where you would touch someone and their skin would fall off. Yep. And so these are all the elements. So the fact that 316 even survived is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Would you want to die right away because I was thinking about this when I was looking over the thing. I'd want to die immediately in the blast.
Right.
It would be so that pitch blackness at night, and you hearing the blood curdling screams of guys being attacked by sharks. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into shock. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make... How did they survive the night? Because the water gets so cold. Like,
well, hypothermia.
Yeah.
And what happened was the way the kind of what they would do is some of them had life vests, some of them didn't. But the life vest, what do you remember what kind of life vest it was? What's a lot? Is it? You said Kevlar before, but that's bulletproof vest, right?
Yeah, that was when I was on a land-based unit.
Right.
That's
yeah.
But no, like the other thing too, because you were saying the crew was like 1,200 or what was it? 1,200?
Yeah, 1195. Yeah.
Yeah. So that boat was supposed to have like 900 people on it, but for wartime they ramp up the people. So you got like everything you have on board the ship. You probably are running low on stuff to begin with. So if you had something, it was probably like garbage. Half the guys probably didn't have life vests.
They didn't have life vests, and they would try to do after. If you have a life vest, which I didn't know this only through doing my research, when you have a life vest, it doesn't last forever. It starts to then the water starts to get filled up with water, and life vests are only good for about 2 days. So what happened was you could come out with the life vest and think you're good, but then your life vest starts to deteriorate, and you have to then sit in it.
Yeah.
But once you sit in it, then you have to swim. You still have to kick your legs.
Tread in water.
Yeah. So the guy was like, what would happen was there would be guys on duty who had life vests who your whole goal was to just keep, you would put your arms under somebody else's arms and just keep them afloat for as long as possible. But some guys would just their muscles would give out. There was a good amount of guys that would swim towards the sharks. That was one thing they would do because of the dehydration. They started to hallucinate. So guys started to go swim underwater because they thought they wanted to get a drink below deck. So they thought they were going below deck and they would never resurface, either eaten alive by sharks or they were just drowning themselves. Then guys started swimming towards islands that weren't there, and they would swim away and never to be seen again.
that would have been me.
Yeah.
The one of the guys hallucinating.
And then, and then guys started swimming towards the sharks, especially the younger guys, because they just couldn't deal with the fear, because the shark feedings and frenzies would only happen at night. So imagine it's pitch black, and out of nowhere, at any second, a shark is going to dart up 30 miles an hour and rip your fucking leg off and rip you down. They were saying that one survivor was saying he knows men were being dragged to the bottom of the ocean. He said that that's what was happening. He was seeing men being dragged down and never resurfacing.
Yeah, and then you get just all these, like you said, these body parts and dead guys just floating around in these fucking
Well,
things.
and he said after the third day, or even the beginnings of the fourth day, that they wouldn't even, if you were dead, they wouldn't check you. They didn't want to take anything off you. Maybe they tried to take your body, your life jacket, because they didn't want to turn your body over and see that you were just a torso. It was too traumatic for everyone. So because it happened so much, they would think that I can help you, and they put your arms under, but you were just half a torso.
Because you're bobbing from shoulders up. I mean,
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that it's just a horrific scene. And just to think, do you think about how slow time went in like math class when you were a kid? Imagine how slow time's going to go when you're sitting in the middle of an ocean.
Yeah.
Being like, please rescue us. Every minute must have felt like a fucking hour because you're struggling to survive every second. And you're not having a good time.
So there was a group of 90, I know, that would like all huddle together. So there was different groups huddling together. And what would happen is one of the survivors, this is the fucking part that I was like, wow.
I think the unpopopular kid wasn't allowed in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Fucking Steve's weird,
like, you
man.
go sit over there, go swim around with the other nerds.
Yeah,
go bob around in this violent fucking scene with the other nerds. You're not welcome here.
Do you think there was racism for Japanese Americans who fought for the U.S.? Like if there was a Japanese American on board of that, you think some
I don't think there really were.
You're fucked. No, there were. There was
now. We'll fuck around with like when you got like a Muslim dude in the Navy or whatever. We'll be like, dude, can you ask your uncle when shit's going down? So I just want to take my leave in time for Christmas.
I guarantee you most of the soldiers who do jokes like that are either from the Northeast or Texas.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Nothing will ever stop those jokes.
No.
That's what guys do. Guys joke. Yeah, they're funny and guys joke.
That's what it is. I mean, it builds camaraderie. It really does.
It does. ISIS, do the sharks eat or do they just bite?
There's definitely like freak scenarios where a shark has eaten a person, but in general, it's just curiosity that leads to accidental attacks.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like sharks, they don't even like our meat. They don't like the way we taste, but the blood attracts them and they'll bite out of curiosity. Yeah, because when we were researching this, I was thinking, in the middle of the ocean, I was like, why wouldn't the sharks just eat every single person with the amount of sharks there are? And then it's like, yeah, that's the reason. It's like because they don't want the meat. They're not looking to eat you, but you get bit up. Yeah,
and but they don't really know you're human until they take a bite.
That's the thing. That's what makes it brutes. Because here's the thing. That's what makes it real brutes.
Right.
Is because like if you're trapped in the water and you get bit by a shark, first of all, they don't bite you a little. They bite you a lot, and then you're fucking bit and in pain. I would almost kind of rather the shark finish me off and eat me than now I'm fucking have a shark bite. On top of, imagine like you're floating in the ocean, you haven't drunk any fluids for 3 days, you're dehydrated, you're hallucinating, you haven't eaten for 4 days, your best friend is a fucking floating torso over here.
Right.
You're living in a nightmare, and then on top of that, a fucking shark bites you.
That's what it is.
You're sitting there going, there is no God.
There is no God. But you'll see as a survivor, some of the survivors start to believe in God because fucking wild shit starts to happen. So one thing, before I get to that, one thing too that I just really put me there when this survivor said, there's little, waves that happen in the middle of the ocean, 8-9 foot swells. And he said what would happen is you would see bodies floating, right? And he said all of a sudden you would see a swell coming. And the bodies would go with the swell. They're motionless. And then the swell would come crashing down and the bodies would be hurled. The dead bodies would be hurled into the living people, and because of the desquamination, their skin would melt off onto their face.
Yeah.
And so these guys were covered in the dead friend's skin.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it's like the horror of it was nuts. So there was one. So then what happened? So they're in there for 4 days, and then nobody understands what's going on. Finally, after the 4th day, they realized the ship's missing. Okay, they realized, oh shit, we fucked up. Actually, somebody, wherever it was supposed to land, I forgot where it was supposed to go, made a miscalculation and said that it had gotten there when it had it. So that guy got in big trouble, of course, eventually, because that's a big fuck up.
We're bad at our jobs in the military. No one wants to. We always try to be respectful, but we fail more than we succeed.
Right.
Nobody wants to admit it.
I think it was unfairly pinned on that guy, though, right?
We'll get to him because there's a whole story about that.
Yeah.
But before that,
the guy was a good shot. What do you want? The guy hit. He shot 6 torpedoes. He hit 2.
The Japanese torpedo, the Japanese submarine. I forgot what it was called. The Japanese submarine that was the most superior submarine in all of World War II that hit the USS Indianapolis. So it's not like, it's kind of like dealing with those German tanks, like that Tiger tank thing was more superior than the US tanks.
It's like an underwater Red Baron.
Exactly.
Kind of
This was the fucking big things. So what happened is 4 days into this, pilot Wilbur Chuck Wynn, fucking Chuck Wynn. But our old school, our old World War II, World War II guys had good names.
Wilbur.
Wilbur.
That's a 1940s name.
Wilbur, Chuck Wynn. That's a good fucking name.
Good name.
Yeah, because today it'd be fucking, it'd be Taylor, Skylar, and Matthewson.
Yeah.
Find him.
I've never met a Wilbur.
I've never met a Chuck.
Yeah.
Wilbur Chuck Wynn was was flying his plane. It was called the PV-1 Ventura. I call it the PV-1 Ace Ventura. He was doing just a regular detail on, just flying over the ocean. Just, I don't know, was, looking for dolphin puss, whatever he was doing.
I think they were looking for submarines. They were doing like a reconnaissance route, looking for jet submarines.
It was a military plane.
Yeah,
right?
It's a military
to be
plane.
That far out.
Yeah, and he.
It's the only fucking reason they saw him.
Yeah, they were
looking down at the water, looking for enemies.
And he saw, because of the oil, so the one thing that was killing them and the one thing that was hot and they had to go around, didn't want to go near and could kill them instantly, was kind of a thing that saved them, because the sun was shining off the oil, which was then causing reflections off the men's heads and life jackets, and it was noticeable from the plane. So then the plane started to do circles and realized, oh shit, we got bodies in the water right here. So, but at that time, they didn't know, because you're too high up. You don't know if that's a U.S. or Japanese. You have no idea. So, but like you were saying before, how it takes a long time. It takes an hour and a half just to get, if
they fall off the boat. Yeah.
Right. So this plane that they were in, this Ace Ventura plane, they couldn't land in the water. They had no way to land in the water. So they had to go all the way back to base, get a plane that could land in the water, even though they weren't supposed. There's whatever. I forgot what the fucking plane that lands in the water was, but they weren't supposed to land in the water.
No, but the guy couldn't take it, and he did it. He did
it anyway. And he hung up on his fucking general.
Yeah.
He hung up on him, and he said, I'm going to fucking land this plane in the water, whatever. So 57 men jumped on this guy's plane when he finally landed in the water, because they were jumping on. It didn't take off again. It couldn't take off because it blew its engine out when it landed in the water. But he had men sitting in the hull of his sitting in the cabin or whatever of his plane, and then he had men sitting on the wings and on the roof just to get them out of the water. And when the plane landed, he claims, and no reason not to believe him, that he saw men being mauled by sharks as he landed the plane. And when the plane landed, the sharks scattered, because that's a big thing to happen in the water. It's a big impact. So they didn't know, the sharks didn't know what it was. So they scattered away. And then sharks still, when the plane was just floating in the water for another 2 hours, waiting for a destroyer, finally came. A big boat came.
USS Cecil Doyle. That was a destroyer that came.
That's the one that came. But the men were just... The plane basically became a life raft. This was just basically became another life raft. So they started to hang on there, and then even with that, sharks were bumping the plane. Sharks scattered and then came back. So from what the survivors say, the sharks were like, he described them as like mosquitoes on a summer day. Like you're just going to get hit and you can't stop it. That's what it was, but just sharks.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Lieutenant Adrian Marks.
Marks
who was
is the one
dispatched, and he came, and he just dropped the plane in, ripped an engine apart.
He didn't give a fuck,
and he let guys crawl on the wings, crawl on the plane. And we're gonna listen to the survivors speak about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what they look like when you ripping on me for being Irish and everything? But if you're out in the sun like that, like I come out like I got like a Puerto Rican head, and the rest of me is just ghost white.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have talk about pruned.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I get. You ever take a bath? You get pruned after like 30 minutes. Imagine being in the fucking ocean for 4 days.
So actually, a lot of people don't know about the USS Indianapolis now. It's kind of just been like lost in time. That's why we're talking about it. But in the 40s, because this is nearing the end of the war. July of 45 is nearing the end.
Oh, we're right before the end.
Right before the end.
We're about to drop the fucking
we're about
fat
to
boy and little kid.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Enola Gay. We had some gay name. Enola Gay, little boy.
Yeah. Little boy.
I love it if they named the new bomb is called like the cutie with smoothie.
That would be great.
That would be fucking great.
I would love to fucking ram a cutie with smoothie right in ISIS's asshole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The new bomb, the fucking Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
So what happened is it became huge news in the U.S. Huge news that all these men died and the way they died and the shark attacks. So they got, you know how the U.S. is. We got to fucking pin this shit on somebody. Whose fault was it? So the U.S. decides to blame it on the actual is it admiral of the ship? What would the admiral's the head of the Navy, right? Like the top guy.
Yeah, you can be because we had a commander. No, it was I'm trying to remember. He was a full captain actually.
Okay.
But it's weird because the small, like the admiral can be on any ship really, but if you're a flag admiral or whatever, a fleet admiral, it's like you have multiple ships under your command kind of a thing.
So the guy who was just in charge of the USS Indianapolis would be a captain then, right? He was
for that one, yeah, I think he was a captain, right?
Yes, Captain Charles B. McAvoy III.
Yeah.
He was captain of the USS Indianapolis. So first of all, people...
And he lived.
So that was the first knock against him. That's why they felt... Because you're supposed to go down with your ship, right? That's what they say. But he jumped... And it's like, that's stupid. Do you think that's stupid, KP?
Or is that like Hollywood shit?
Well, I mean, that is like an old school, like maritime thing. You're supposed to go down with the ship because it's your responsibility. But like the COs, like they get fired. People don't understand that. Like you fuck up when you're the commanding officer of a ship and something goes wrong. Like you just get replaced immediately. There was a boat that crashed in Hawaii called the Port Royal or something like that.
Okay.
It crashed into a jetty because they fucked up on the maps. The joke was they called it the Port Royal on the rocks.
Right.
Right. So it was down in Hawaii. So this dude literally just crashed like $1 billion boat. And they said, like, within 15 minutes, he was fired. Like,
right.
He literally knew that they crashed and started packing his bags. Like,
it was over.
Walking out of an office like his trophy in a box.
There's no room for error. It's like being a surgeon. Like, you fuck up once, people die.
Yeah, you're done, man.
So Captain McAvoy winds up, because, the U.S. has to pin it on somebody that people want heads, especially the families of the people, who lost their sons or whatever, people in their family. Charles McAvoy gets court-martialed. Because they said that he failed to zigzag, that he was supposed to be zigzagging, and the Japanese commander, said that it wouldn't have mattered. He later testified. So this is how crazy it got. Captain McAvoy gets court-martialed, gets relieved from his duty, and is like an enemy in the U.S. Like, people are like, fuck, he gets letters. He would get letters from some of the guys who died's families like, oh, Merry Christmas because you and my son's dead, right? To the point where they actually brought in the U.S., once they started doing more investigations, brought in the commander of the Japanese submarine. He said, there's nothing McAvoy could have done, even if he would have zigzagged. He said, we had him in our crosshairs, and our submarine is so much faster and so much more superior that it would have not have mattered. We had locked in on him. And McAvoy said all his orders were, he didn't have any orders, that he didn't even know Japanese submarines were in the water. He had no idea. Nobody told him anything, which turned out to be true. Because the truth is, actually, Lieutenant Stuart Gibson, whose whole job was to track the USS Indianapolis, is the one who really should have went down, because he's the one who accidentally said that it got there when it didn't get there. So he's the one who was supposed to be...
Simpson?
Yeah, no, Gibson. Stuart Gibson.
I thought you said Simpson.
Stuart's always a fuck... Anytime a guy's named Stuart...
When's the last time you met a Stewart? I never met a Stewart.
I never met a Stewart who's a good guy. They're always a fucking piece of shit.
You've actually met a real Stewart?
Yeah, fucking... I met some guy, Stu. My mom used to date a boyfriend named Stu.
So
he's a fucking loser.
So Stewart was...
My dad's a better guy.
Stewart said that they arrived before they arrived, so that's why they lost the boat?
Stewart said they arrived, and then when you get where he was... Apparently, the USS Indianapolis, because they didn't have time to send out the distress call, but somehow information got to wherever it was supposed to go. I think that base was in Guam, where they were supposed to be watching these ships come in. One of the commanders who was supposed to be relaying information back to naval headquarters was drunk. The other one was
Irish kid. What was his name?
I didn't get his name.
Carney.
Yeah, his name was KP Burke.
Sean Donnelly.
Yeah, Shawnee D. One commander was drunk, right? When he heard about the USS Indianapolis, so he just didn't say anything. The other commander had told his men, do not disturb, because he had toots in his room. That's true. He had prostitutes. He had toots in his room.
On the destroyer?
Yeah, he had toots in his room.
There was toots on the destroyer?
No. In at base.
Oh, back. Yeah.
Base.
Yeah.
So he had toots in his room. So he said, "Do not disturb." And the third guy was quoted as, "This is just another Jap trap." So the third guy said that there's no way the Indianapolis went down. It's just a Jap trap. So all those guys didn't get court-martialed, didn't get in trouble. But Charles McAvoy, who had nothing, could not have done a different, if he would have done anything differently, the results would have been the same, is the one who got court-martialed, and then dealing with all the fucking pressure and becoming an enemy. All this guy wanted to do was serve the Navy, wound up shooting himself in his front lawn in 1968, and he was found with a revolver and a toy sailor in his hand.
Yeah, it's gonna.
So
you're not gonna be able to walk that one off.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? You gotta blow. You gotta kill yourself. I mean,
So the guy in the port, though, who fucked up and said that they arrived when they didn't, he never had to go through 4 days in the water watching people get eaten by
nothing.
sharks.
Nothing.
So the guy-
McAvoy did.
Yeah, you lived through that. You lived through all that, and then everybody calls you a dickhead.
And all the guys on the boat said McAvoy did nothing wrong, and McAvoy, being the captain of the boat, did not take any preferential treatment in the water. He waited in, because the only way guys survived is they found a couple of crates of potatoes that were rotten, so they had to peel it off and just eat that, but they had water. And then twice they got lucky because, once you're out there for hours and hours and hours in the middle of the sun with the salt, even if you're trying not to drink the salt water, it's still splashing up and hitting you in the lip, hitting your skin, so you're dehydrating. Twice in those 4 days, there was 25 minutes of rain. So they opened their mouths and drank the water, and they filled up little containers that they had found, and that's where they had water. And they said McAvoy waited in line or waited his turn like everybody else. He took no preferential treatment. So they all thought his fellow soldiers, his team thought that it was bullshit, but they just knew that the government had to pin it on somebody. And it wasn't until 96 when this 6th grade kid, Hunter Scott, now we're starting to get to fucking millennial cuck names, 6th grader Hunter Scott did a book report. All he did was did a book report, but he did his research, and it actually led to the congressional hearing, which happened in July 2001, that finally found Captain McAvoy not guilty of anything and is it hominously or humanously? After you die,
posthumously, I think, right?
Posthumously reinstated and given like all these awards, and it was my man Bill Clinton. Everyone just thinks he's getting his dick sucked. He wasn't. He was fucking made sure that my man James Captain McAvoy had the honor he deserved. So,
but his sentence was actually lifted in 46.
Yeah,
his sentence was lifted by James Forrestal, who was the Navy Secretary in 46.
That was a ship, too, the USS Forrestal. I think there was a huge fire on that one as well.
On the Forrestal?
Yeah, there was some weird shit.
But he lifted his sentence and cited his bravery. But, yeah, the conviction remained on his record. So that's
back
probably
on active
Lincoln.
duty, right? I think he was able to finish his naval career or something, right?
McVeigh?
Yeah, because they...
Was he icy? Was he able? First of all, did we find out if the ship where it was going on the way back?
It had dropped off its cargo at an island called Tinian, north of Guam, and it was on its way to the Philippines.
Yeah, that's what it was, Chrissy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was kind of right, but mostly wrong.
Yeah. But you were fucking right about the 900.
Yeah.
I said 800, you said 900.
Yeah.
And you fucking nailed it.
Yeah. So that was the biggest loss of life in U.S. military history at sea.
Wild story.
Biggest shark attack ever. Biggest loss of life, sharks eating humans in the history of the world. And that's where fucking nature and history come together. That's a perfect story of how nature and history come together big time. Bet.
Yeah, now, supposedly the sharks don't like to eat the humans, but probably the ones that hung out, if you got humans, the reason they probably don't like to eat humans is because they don't encounter them much.
Right.
So they don't get a chance to develop a taste. Like, I didn't like oysters for a long time.
Right.
But the more you hang around oysters, you acquire a taste. Do you think the sharks at first bit it and didn't like it, but since the humans were still there 4 days later, they started to develop a taste and started to eat? I think they're probably going to like Irish kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was a shark, I would develop a taste after 3 days and be like, what? That's maybe why they don't eat them. They haven't developed a taste yet.
And this is one of those things where, if I was on board the Indianapolis with you guys, you always make fun of me, Chrissy bitch hips. You look like a Midwestern stepmom. But when we got into that water, guess whose butt's going to protect it from a couple? They're going to have the sharks going to have to take a few nicks to get to this butt. But you, Yannis, who's buttless, you would fucking. You would get they'd hit bone right away. But for me, the sharks would know this is a fucking. They actually may eat me whole because my ass meat may fucking just taste like seals.
Yeah, well, if they're gonna bite me, I would rather they bite my no butt or my arm than bite one of my sneakers off. I'd be like, no, these are nice sneakers. Stay away from the Jordans.
That's the thing. Yeah. If that went down today, it would just be a bunch of Jordans floating in the water.
That's what it would be. Yeah.
Zach Ice's face. Can we get to Edgar Harrell? So Edgar Harrell was a USS Indianapolis survivor, and he tells the story.
Cute kid.
Yeah, he definitely got a lot of pussy. Big ears, they all had big ears back in the day.
Well, you want to know why old people have such big ears?
What is
because
it?
Noses and ears never stop growing. So your ears actually get bigger and bigger over time, and so does your nose.
Interesting.
Yeah, so your nose and ears are the only things that never stop growing.
Interesting. Okay.
Little nature fact. Cute. Cutes McCutes. So we're going to listen to Edgar Harrell here a little bit. This is him recanting his experience as a survivor of the USS Indianapolis.
Which, by the way, Indianapolis is my most hated city in the U.S. I hate Indianapolis. Nothing
Really?
going on there. Yeah.
You hate it more than Portland?
Yeah, Indianapolis and I don't hate
Why?
the people because it was just so boring in Indianapolis, and the people were kind of racist, and I just didn't have a good experience there. But if any listeners from Indianapolis, thank you for your service.
Here we go.
I was a Marine Guard aboard the Indianapolis. I actually was a Marine Guard that guarded Fat Man and Little Boy.
Yeah,
The components of the 2 atomic bombs that we picked up July 16, 1945 in Hunters Point, San Francisco. 10 days later,
Can you pause a
we
sec?
delivered a...
So one thing about military guys that you
Right.
can tell, as opposed to civilians, civilians like stutter and fuck up their speech a lot. Military guys, do you ever notice that? 24 hours, 16. I was part of the squadron that there's no like. It's like they speak clear and in a straight line because they're so disciplined.
Well,
Did you
they-
get a discipline from the military?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's like, but I can still remember shit that like I don't know what I'm saying, but I know exactly like how to say it so that it comes across clearly.
Yeah.
Like there's little shit too. Like if you say or in boot camp, like they make you fucking walk around in a circle.
Wow,
Oh, yeah,
really?
they get rid of filler words fast, man.
Wow.
That's, yeah.
Well, they do. There's this.
Because see, you could tell he's never been in the military because it's always like, but, that wouldn't cut it in the military,
Yeah,
right?
but I don't know because there's this guy who we're listening to, but then there was this guy who I found, and this guy just sounds. I mean, he's a survivor and a fucking hero, but
What are you going to say?
Did you believe him?
No.
An expedition crew on the research
See, he
vessel
just-
Petrel did
this guy, he just doesn't sound anything like Harold's so articulate, but then this guy just sounds like he was from like Harold's probably from, the Northeast or something like that, and this is just your fucking country bumpkin from Texas who was also on the Indianapolis. I want to hear him fucking talk. Hold on.
Yeah, put him and let us. We all want to hear
I
it.
don't know if I won 20 feet. I won the air.
2 torpedoes from a Japanese
Oh, no, this
submarine
fucking girl. Shut up, stop
and
talking.
sinking it in
Hold on.
12 minutes.
How I got through this, I really don't know. I just damn lucky. That's all there is to it.
No, he's speaking pretty clear, and he's
No.
also 107, Chris.
No.
Give the guy a break.
2 times that happened.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, he spoke pretty clearly to me.
I had a bigger load than the shark, so the shark took off.
I mean, he is 95.
He said I had a bigger nose than the shark, so the shark took off.
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
got a sense of humor.
Still got a sense of humor, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear more Edgar.
Let's hear Edgar Harrell.
Cargo that we didn't know what we had. We delivered it to our B-29 base at Tinian Island.
Yeah,
Tinian Island.
so that's what he delivered. 1,197.
We left Tinian Island on our way to the Philippines to prepare for the main invasion of Japan, which would have been in November 1945. But 3 days out of Guam on the way to the Philippines, we encountered a Jap sub. Commander Hoshimoto fired a spread of 6 torpedoes, hit us with 2. The ship went down in 12 minutes.
Can you pause it for a second?
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to explain being triggered by something someone said to this guy?
Yeah.
The bad term for Japs back then was nips.
Yeah.
I thought it was zips.
That zips, nips,
Oh.
it had anything. I mean, there's so
Anything,
many.
yeah.
Yeah. Slants was one too, right?
Yeah,
Slants
slants.
is there,
Yeah,
too.
about lemon suckers.
Yeah. Can you imagine trying to explain
Yeah.
gender fluidity to this guy?
Oh my God.
I mean, that would actually be fucking hilarious if you
Yeah.
sat him down. You were like, "Tell us your story about the Indianapolis," and he'd go, "Okay, now I want to tell you about my struggle."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you spent 4 days in the water. That's kind of like,
That's kind of like when they say that my, daughter, just because she has a vagina, is a girl. She's a baby.
they don't know it. Yeah, she's more of a baby. Just because the outside looks like one thing doesn't mean the inside
Yeah.
is congruent.
Do you know what you're
900.
eating? Do you know what you're eating in conditions of the pig when you eat bacon? It's like,
Yeah, I do know.
He's like, yeah, I know. Actually, my friend next to me, his skin was ripped off by the sea.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing back in 1945 when I was floating in the water for 806 hours, approximately 25 knots past the perimeter of the circumference of the radius of the equator. Next to my friend was 3 guys who got eaten by 2 sharks, and we lost 15, 17 old men back then.
Yeah.
So I was feeling the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So
900 him, he's, sirs, and jurs
Yeah.
all fell into the water.
We lost
Yeah.
800 good servicemen back there, so I understand what you're thinking about.
yeah, I've just feel like I'm hurt emotionally. Oh, I don't have any arms or legs. All my appendages got eaten off by sharks.
I felt that same way when my friend Ricky, who was also my bunkmate down there in Fort Wayne, Georgia, came bopping over to me, and he looked like a starfish because he had no limbs.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're going through, ma'am.
Yeah, I understand your right to protest. All right, go ahead. Let's get back to Edgar Howard.
7 of us aboard. We surmised maybe that 900 of us actually got in the water, which meant about 300 didn't even get off the ship. But the Navy lost us.
The U.S. It sank so quickly. No distress signal was sent. No lifeboats deployed.
Providentially, we were spotted 4.5 days later, but instead of there being some 900 out there, there were only 317 of us still alive.
Wow.
So what happened to all the other people? A combination of many things. 1, sharks. 2, hypothermia. Boys drinking salt waters and going berserk. And I often say that it's much easier to die than it is to live, believe me.
Sometimes I feel that way when people call me the wrong gender.
You can't just continue to swim indefinitely. And it's difficult to swim 4.5 days, but many of us did. All I had was a K-Pock life jacket.
That's what it's called.
Well, a K-Pock life jacket won't last 4.5 days. So what happens when it won't
Pause
hold
it. I
your head out
love
of water?
millennials probably listening to this. What do they say? K-Pod? Oh, like a Keurig? Go ahead.
You take it off, you turn it upside down, and you sit in it. But then you have to keep swimming, or else it'll put you in the water, and you don't have the strength to get that inner tube back down under you.
Many men group together, try to help each other fight off the relentless shark.
I started with a group of 80. 2 other Marines. 1 didn't make it to daybreak. The other went into the water head first and had all that oil in his eyes, and he's to suffer miserably the next few days. But I was in a group of 80. Now, the 3rd day at noon, there's only 17 of us. So you can only guess what's happening. And when I was picked up at the end of 4.5 days, I'm with a Navy Lieutenant, Charles McKissick from Texas. The hour before, there were 3 of us. But I checked the sailor to see that seemingly he was doing what I had seen others do so many times. No more energy, no more will to live, and just give up. And I checked him, and his head had dropped down nearly in the water. I shook him, and he responded, but he could care less. The second time, the same thing. The third time I checked him, it's too late.
Could you pause
so
for a
it's
second?
only.
I mean, for the guys who made it all the way to the end and got rescued, and then they were probably in the hospital together in Guam for a little while, how do you say goodbye after something like that?
Yeah.
So keep in touch, you know?
Yeah.
How do you communicate to that person that we shared an experience? I mean, there's very few people on the planet, probably. I mean, maybe these guys, maybe a few. Who survives for 4 days in the water? So it's like you're part of an experience that only you can communicate. You can't convey to somebody what it was like unless you were there. How do you say goodbye from that?
I saw one of the survivors.
See you around. Give me a call sometime.
Well, a lot of the survivors didn't tell anyone in their families what happened because it was too dramatic. And I saw one survivor story said he didn't tell his wife for 7 years. Until after he got home from the war, until some book came out that he was part of the USS Indianapolis. And then his wife, he said, was really mad at him. And I'm like, are you fucking serious, Jeanette? Your fucking mad at me. I was getting eaten alive by sharks and my skin was falling off while you were here using my fucking credit card, just being a fucking, the mooch that you fucking are, making believe you're taking care of my kids when you're probably banging my uncle.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the fucking worst thing that ever happened to me because when I got home, you fucking asked me how many fucking toots I banged out. It's like, shut up. It's like, who would have the fucking balls to fucking get mad at, how selfish are people?
Well,
Did
a
your
wife.
grandpa talk to you about because he was in the Coast Guard? He said, "Did he ever talk to you?" Because my grandfather wouldn't talk to. He had 2 daughters, right? So my mom, my aunt, and he would never tell them anything about what happened. And then one day, me and him were just talking. He's like, yeah, it's like this is like when I got my Purple Heart. And he goes, somewhere, my Purple Heart's upstairs somewhere. He goes, I want you to have it. And I was like,
wow.
How did you get a Purple Heart? And he's like, I got blown out of a truck in the Battle of the Bulge.
Wow.
And you're just like, this is. Like, fuck, all right, we can come back to the Jets game. Let's finish. Like, holy shit, man.
And the Battle of the Bulge is a fucking iconic battle.
People who've been to war, my dad was in the Korean War. Yeah, they don't just brag about it or talk about it. It's a pretty, it comes out in weird moments. They're just like, oh yeah, because my dad has a couple stars too. And he doesn't just talk about it. He's like, he's like, yeah, I got that for calling in the artillery that killed. Because it's such a horror to be in war that it's like
you don't really want to murder these guys, but you have to.
Anyone who glorifies it and talks it, their mouths fucking run. Let's go over there and fucking shit. It's like, dude, you've never been. My dad told me it is absolute. He says it's hell. It's mayhem. It's confusion.
Right.
Modern artillery is just you're just firing. You don't even see the enemy. You go see the dead bodies afterwards. You go to the battlefield and you see what the carnage is, but you rarely.
It's not hand-to-hand combat.
You don't see the enemy really, unless you're doing urban warfare. You still don't even see them. Things are happening from far away with scopes and shit, and you're firing.
You can't hear sound either, so it's like surgical kind of a thing.
Right.
You watch some of those videos, man. There's people screaming, but you can't hear them because you're so far away.
Yeah, and then you can't hear over the fucking firing. It's just it's pandemonium. There's dust flying everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why fratricide is always so high. It's because the confusion, what they call the fog of war, is so. Sometimes a lot of times in Vietnam.
You're killing your own people.
You're killing your own people. When they call in artillery, they drop it on you try to tell them where the positions are. He's like, we think that's what my dad did. He's a lieutenant, so he's like, he's telling the artillery where to bomb, and you're hoping they're there. Yeah, you're I think they're over there.
Because KP, correct me if I'm wrong, don't forget, especially Vietnam War and World War II, you're getting trained for a few weeks and then being sent to battle. So you don't you're not a master of you're just pressing buttons. You don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's fast, man. Especially my last unit was a reserve unit. So they'd bring in people who were like, this guy was driving a fucking bus in Gainesville 2 weeks ago, and now he's on a tower and a machine gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's kind of crazy how that all works.
Let's hear the rest of Edgar.
McKissick and myself. One of my buddies, and when he's asked that question, his response is, and maybe that's a good one, he says, never, never, never give up. And I never gave up. I wondered when I would look at a decomposed body that maybe if I checked him, the bottom torso is gone or he's disemboweled.
Can you pause it for a second? He says never give up, but maybe he doesn't know what it's like to be a straight white male in comedy.
Yes.
I mean, you might as well give up.
You might as well give up. Yeah, There's no hope here. Go ahead.
And you see maybe a body up on an 8-foot swell, and all of a sudden that swell breaks and that body comes down and he hits you and he leaves part of the residue on you. You see that and you wonder, is that going to be me tomorrow or yet today? And so you look up, and may I say, there's no such thing as an atheist in foxholes. There were no atheists out there. Everyone prayed. I can hear that one old sailor praying today. God, if you're out there, I don't want to die. I've got a son back home that I've never seen. I want to live, but we have to have help. So we pray, and we continue to pray. So the lesson that I have learned is I know that was a higher power watching over me, or I wouldn't be here today. And there's never a day passes but what I don't thank my Heavenly Father for sending that plane, number one. The second day when I was so thirsty, dared not to drink the salt water, and to have a little cloud come over and you see it's raining, and you open your mouth heavenward and you get a few drops of water. I thank the Lord. On the third day, when there was only 17 of us, to see a little makeshift of a raft come into our group, and we see no one's on the raft, but 5 sailors are around it. But what they had on the raft was K-Pot life jackets that they'd taken off of boys already expired. They'd squeezed those out and put them on that little raft, and now they're drying out. They came into our group, and our K-Pot jackets are gone. We're seated in them, but we have a new spare tire, so to speak. And then sometime later than that day, when you're so thirsty and you haven't had anything to eat, for those 3 days, and then to find an old potato crate, and when you reach in and grab that first potato and to see it's rotten, and then that rot squeezed between your fingers, and you take your hands and you peel that, and you take your mouth and you peel off some of that rot, but it's solid on the inside, so you have a little water and you have some food. And then the end of that fourth day, when there's only 2 of us now, and to see that plane coming in, look, there's a plane, and you could hear it, and then you can imagine the excitement, and you wave, you splash water, and here, all of a sudden, he starts in a dive. You think he sees us, look, he's coming in. May I say, impossible for him to see us. Here he's flying at that distance. He's looking forward of him, say 4 miles. He's looking at his peripheral vision, 2.5 miles, looking at 20 square miles, and to see a man's head down here 6 by 8 inches, impossible. But in the providence of God, he saw us. Let me tell you how he saw us. Lieutenant Gwynn flying that Ventura out of Peru, looking out on a search and destroy for submarines. Here he's having problems with his radio antenna. He tells the co-pilot, take over control, I'm going to go aft and I'm going to pull in that antenna. And he had a piece of rubber hose that he was going to put on that. And as he opened the bomb bay door, he glances down 2,000 or 3,000 feet, and what did he see? He saw the little Boy Scout's mirror. He saw the sun hit the oil off of our clothing down there, and the glitter of that. He rushed back to take over control.
Okay. So they rescued him. I mean, he's basically telling us everything that you told it. You already told us.
All right, yeah, but I just thought, it's nice to hear him say it. That's fucking
no, it
close
is
to
nice.
me.
If they zoom out on the camera and his grandkids are texting in the background.
Yeah.
Just they're done with it. They don't care. Every year he does this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. What I was thinking when I watched this is I was trying to think what would give me the fortitude, the will to survive. Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe faith. Right. That was very interesting to me. He's like, there's no atheists in foxholes. He's like, yeah, there was no atheists out there that day.
It's true.
I'd be fucking praying too, But then, so is that what, was it faith that kept certain guys? Well, the other guys who died, the guys who were kind of on the fence? Because he's going God's going to save us, and that's keeping
No, there were probably some Jews in the Navy, I would think, right? A couple.
Because that's not going to do you any good to be a guy out there being look, I don't know if there is or there isn't a God,
Yeah, you just got to fucking believe.
In those moments, you got to just go gung-ho. But it's funny that this guy believes so much, but then you look and you're going, all right, maybe he's right? Maybe there is a God, and God, divine providence, did send that plane, and all the things he's saying are true, and faith is what kept him alive. But then you're going who the fuck put you in that situation? Yeah. God's a fucking dick. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to fucking throw some sharks in there, throw you in the water for 4 days, but then I'm going to save you after the 4th day.
Yeah.
And only a few of you. Only the ones that believe really hard.
You got to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was the story of the USS Indianapolis. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's fucking wild. Moral of the story, and I've been saying this, is just don't go in the water. That's why I don't go in the fucking water.
Yeah, black kids know that.
Sharks can't get me if I'm on land. As long as I got my 2 feet on the sidewalk in Brooklyn, I'm safe as a fucking safe.
Yeah.
Guy.
Maybe that's why a lot of black kids, they don't learn to swim till
seen
later.
this story,
They've
yeah.
seen this story and they're like,
Yes.
be careful from the sharks.
Yo, and anybody listening right now, we appreciate it. If you want to be part of our select group and really join our Hyena matriarch, then you go to patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys to be a part of that. And we got some new members of the matriarch, and as promised, when you join the matriarch, we read your names here on the fucking History Hyenas podcast, and we give you a shout out.
We celebrate you, if you will.
Thank you for your service. So first, got an Italian girl, probably girl from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, Maria Cristina Carrero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wow.
Yeah. Maria Cristina.
What are the chances that girl didn't go to Catholic school?
Yeah.
And doesn't have a rosary bead on the top of her bed?
And 100% her husband used to be a DJ. Now he's in real estate. Now here we go. Now we got Shelley K. Booker. We don't know who she is. That's just a pure American.
That's American right
her
there.
Her fucking grandpa was on the USS Indianapolis. Then we have Adam Menges.
What kind of name is Menges?
I don't know. Or Mengs.
Whenever we don't know, we just say probably Jew.
Yep, Jewed out.
Jewed out.
Then we have an Italian girl, another Italian princess, Alyssa Romano.
Romano, that's a good, solid Italian name.
Romano
Yeah.
cheese. Then we got Jeannie Gurnius.
That's a Greek.
Jeannie
Welcome to the
Gurnius.
matriarchy, Greek girl.
Greek. And then we
Your
got
father knows you here.
and then we got Samuel Peck.
Oh, that's an American band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Adam Foreman.
Adam Foreman, a couple of Americans who definitely have slave owners in their in their background. Yeah.
Then we got a Bay Ridge staple, Bread Brothers Bagel Cafe. Now we got another Irish kid, Sean Barry Jr.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's a fucking kid's going to be sitting at a bar. Where's Daddy? You know where he
100%.
is.
Yeah, that kid works for sanitation.
You're fucking sitting at a bar.
Donated from his pension to support you guys. That's great.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Then we got Morgan Rohan Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, three names.
Morgan
Rohan, but it's a guy though. I think.
Yeah, it could be. I think that's African American. We have a diverse fan base.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Now we have, and then next up is Mandy Genji.
Mandy Genji?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if sometimes I wonder if you just can't read. Are you reading that right? Menji?
Mandy Genji.
How do you spell it?
Gengie. Genji.
Genji?
Mandy.
Jew. Let's just Jewish.
Jew.
Yeah, Jewish.
Ray Bards.
Ray Bards?
Or Bardez. I don't know. Bardes.
Could be Puerto Rican.
Could be.
That's right.
Derek Booth.
Yeah, good black kid.
Yeah, black kid.
Yeah, he definitely he's getting recruited by Villanova.
Then we'll end with a Jew. Jake Metz.
Oh, for sure.
METZ.
Welcome to
Shalom, Jakey.
Welcome to the matriarchy.
Welcome. Yeah, Cuzzy Wuzzy. So thank you so much. We appreciate everything. We found a hyena mask online. If anybody wants to donate to the Patreon, it's $500 the mask. So if anybody wants to donate to the Patreon or find us on Cameo, you can find Yannis Pappas on Cameo. It's an app called Cameo. We'll give you guys a shout out.
Yeah.
Or Chris Stefano on Cameo. If we can get the $500 raised, we will send you a Cameo with the hyena mask on.
Cuz, can we get a theme music or something for Chrissy's Wild Requests?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to send me the link, and I'm going to put the link so they could see the hyena mask you guys want.
Yeah.
In the video.
Okay.
But we should, on the podcast, it should become a segment where we get a fucking music, and it's Chrissy's Wild Request. His first request was a pseudo penis cake, and we fucking got it.
We got it.
We got it from the
Now we're
good
talking.
ladies at Nora
Cupcake
Cupcakes.
Company of Hartford, Connecticut.
And now we want that fucking mask.
Yeah, we want
need
that mask.
$500 to get that mask. Or if you make that mask, or you know the maker of that mask, or if you can make. How about Chrissy? What if they can make a hyena mask?
Absolutely.
If you can make it for us,
then you fucking
send it to us.
Send it to us. KP Burke, where can people find you?
KP Burke Sucks on Twitter,
Nice.
Facebook, Instagram, all that shit, man. And then this weekend I'm actually opening for Lynn Coplitz down at Uncle Vinny. So
There you go.
Here it is.
Yanni?
Yeah, well, They're here every week. You know what?
You know what it is.
It is what it is. Giannis Pappas. How many comedians have that name? Find me. Go to
Nobody.
Yeah, you know what it is.
At Bay Ridge Boys. You can find me at Chris D Comedy, ChrisDComedy.com. I got some shows coming up. Check it out. Check out the site and tell your friends. You got to tell a friend. You got to rate us and review us on iTunes. You got to rate us and review us on Riotcast. You got to tell your friends about us, about the History Hyenas, about the Bay Ridge Boys.
SoundCloud as well. All episodes are now on
And
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. That was the voice of Bin Laden himself. SoundCloud. So all those places.
And
come find us.
Let me reiterate. Me and Chrissy have an offer out, and we mean it. If you can prove that you recommended 5 people to the History Hyenas podcast, they private message us and say, I started listening to you because of Boom. And we get 5 of those, that Boom being your name, me and Chrissy DiStefano are going to send you a signed photograph of me and him drinking smoothies in nothing but swim trunks.
Yes.
Posing together.
Also, we have got Bay Ridge Boys t-shirts at BayRidgeBoys.net. They're at BayRidgeBoys.net, right?
Yes.
And we also have soon, we have a few more designs coming soon, but right now, get the Bay Ridge Boys shirts. There's only a few left. We got women's sizes now. We got smalls. We got mediums. We got large. We got double XL. We got all the way to quadruple XL because we know some of our fans are fat fucks. Cuties. And, Get your gear. Get your Bay Ridge Boys gear. Send us videos. It's of you with a smoothie saying "cuties at smoothies." If you guys, anybody sends us a video of them wearing a Bay Ridge Boys t-shirts, drinking a smoothie, saying "cuties at smoothies" with our Instagram hashtag and with our podcast hashtag, I will send you a picture of my flaccid dick. So that's a guarantee. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. Have a good morning. Whatever it is. Bye.